Hello and welcome to Racers Now for a special edition of what I'm going to call the Cheltenham Chat. We've got Harry Fowler in the hot seat. We're getting on the Cheltenham Festival bandwagon, SD, which is something, Harry, which is something that SD and I have been reluctant to get on in previous years and seasons, as you know, like many of us think that too much talk is given to a festival that is 14 weeks away at the time of talking, or even further away, 20 weeks away that people start talking about it. But it's the focus of the season. It's where the anti-post markets are. Harry does a lot of anti-post betting, to be fair. And there is a lot to talk about. Having what happened over the weekend, it was chaos, pretty much chaos on both sides of the Irish Sea, particularly at Newcastle, where we're going to start. But Harry, you look forward to the Cheltenham Festival more than most people I know. How are you feeling?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it is a long time away, but when races like over the weekend happen, you can't help but speak about it. Whether it is correct, I mean, it is sometimes you're looking towards the end of the season before the season's even started, but it's the way that it just works. Everybody targets these type of races, and it's always about the champion hurdle and them sort of races. Like, there's not really any other race that's bigger than a champion hurdle for a 2 mile hurdler. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's the place to be, really.
Yeah. Don't agree with it, but it is, like you say, it's just the way of the world. And as every year goes on, the Cheltenham Festival, and I think there's having a little bit of an impact on Royal Ascot as well on the flat sphere, is becoming more and more of a focus of that season, wrongly or rightly. I just think that's the way it's going for the casual punters out there. And when we get around to January and February, the racing in the UK particularly is crap.
Yeah, big
As
time.
all roads lead to where. Right, the fighting fifth on Saturday. A race that I was anticipating, really, even as a not a massive jumps fan. Yeah, I was really looking forward to it because it was a no bet race for many people, including
Absolutely.
myself, SD, yourself on Punters Panel and oddsnow.com. But yeah, it was much anticipated because as what's Constitution Hill going to do is how is his now chaotic career going to go? Well, we found out after two hurdles there, and then the new lion who I've quoted you last week. You'd saying for a long time that he's been beating 3 mile horses over 2.5 miles and coming back to 2 miles. They're your words, not mine. And
Yeah, yeah.
and he misbehaved throughout the race. I thought nearly veered out at one, and he ended up falling two out. And Golden Ace again, as like she did in the champion hurdle, has come and mopped up. Have I concluded it about right?
Well, yeah, and then you chuck in the absolute nutcase that is Amsterdam, keen early on, and then after after the new line's fallen, I think he tries to have a go at Golden Ace, like tries to bite her, like as
I'll have
they're
to get back
going.
and watch that. Yeah,
He looks an absolute. I mean, I think he travelled into the race looking like the
he
winner.
did. He
I
did.
I, I watched the race when I watched the race in real time. I thought that the new line was beat. But on that basis, I thought the new line was beat because I thought that Amsterdam was coming there to win because, I mean,
Yes.
he travelled through the race. But now I'm looking back at it and seeing how it's obviously all played out. I'm not actually sure whether the new line was beat, but I mean, I mean, that you look at that race and what was it? 2 lengths from the winner to Nami, a length from 3/4 back to Nemean Lion. I mean, it sort of says a lot about the form. Um, but I mean, Patrick Mullin said earlier in last week, he said that it's tricky for a horse first time up to travel across, which I mean, it looked exactly like that. He was keen early and just didn't finish his effort. He is 20 to 1 now, which yeah, is big enough, but at the same time, he is obviously in that case. They've had issues with him. That's why he's only had what 4 runs now, or 3 runs, sorry, for them over hurdles. I mean, they've said on a few times that he is a difficult horse to have right. So, would you exactly want to be backing that horse for, like you said, 3 months' time? Probably not. I mean,
And he did try to bite her. I've just watched it back between
yeah,
the two,
yeah.
between the two and the one. Yeah,
I mean, it's just, yeah, crazy. What this champion hurdle is going to end up being, I really don't know. I mean, obviously, um, Nick Luck had Nicky Anderson on this morning, so now Sagino's halved in price, gone from
yeah.
8 to 1 into 4 to 1, as low as 7 to 2 as well. So I mean, it is wide open. Is Lottie Mouth for 2.5 miler, or is she a 2 miler? But then we've got the second favourite that I'm not sure is a 2 miler either. So what's going to happen between now and then, I don't know. We've still got William Money to see, um, and Sergino, I guess, really. But I mean, would you want to be taking 7-2 about Sergino that might not run, has had however long off the track, and when Nicky Henderson last spoke about him, he said he's lucky to be alive. So, I mean, it's not personally one that I'd like to take. It is a wide open market at the minute. I mean, Golden Ace is 14-1, but can't say I really. I mean, she's won 2 races.
Yeah, but she would turn up though. She would turn up because I look at a lot of anti-post on the flat, right? And even here, you can it's screaming out to you. There must be a bet in here somewhere. I don't know where it is. Maybe you can tell me, but there's got to be a bet in here. The Lossiemouth saga or the Mares saga will continue, even though they've moved the Mares hurdle to Thursday. I think it's not on Tuesday anymore. It will still continue. We still won't know until 10, 11 o'clock, whatever it is on the Sunday before Cheltenham. We just won't, because they'll flirt with it. They'll say, I know it's the comments I'm attributing to the wrong owner here, but O'Leary used to say a Cheltenham winner's a Cheltenham winner. I think Mr. Ritchie might sit in the same camp. They did it last year, and she would have probably gone very close in a mayhem race of the champion hurdle. She's 2-1, can't be relied on to turn up. So Gino's 5-1 for the champion hurdle. He's also 5-1 for the or around 5-1 for the champion chase. As Harry said, all we know about him is apparently he nearly died, so he's not guaranteed to run, never mind in which race. The New Lions, we've commented on once further. I don't know enough about William Money, I'll be honest. Golden Ace will probably turn up. Constitution Hill will come on to him. Woodoo is more of a stayers hurdle horse. Amsterdam's a lunatic. Ballyburn, absolutely not a 2-mile horse.
No.
Even I know that. And then we're into horses that basically,
the rest of them are chasers at the minute. You've got your Cargisi, Salvatore Mundi, and Kopek de Board that are all over fences at the minute. So, I mean, you basically conclude it there. But I think it's interesting if you look at the Supreme form, and if you think if Kopek de Board was not going over fences, would he be favourite for this race? I think so.
Oh yeah, that's a fair point. He's 50.
And then, I mean, a length and 3/4 behind him was William Money. And I think with a better jump at the last, he could have been slightly closer as well. I think he is an interesting one. Like they've made it pretty clear that he's staying over hurdles. So I think at 8-1, he could probably be the one, because he seems like he's going to run. I mean, we haven't seen him yet. Is the only thing. He was supposed to go to the Moragana, but he did have a setback. So they're weeks out. It was but he's coming back at Christmas. So we'll find out there. But it does seem like he will be one to go in, and with the angle of Kopek de Board, would he be fab for this race? Yes, he would.
Yeah, that's a more than fair angle. Yeah, that's a more than fair angle. And Romeo Coolio was he was third in that Supreme, and he won at the weekend, did he not? So Kopek de Board could be the. I do like the angle, to be fair. I don't know a whole lot about William Money, but I know that the third in the Supreme last year, Romeo Coolio, he won over the weekend as well, did he not?
Yeah, he bolted up over fences, looked quite good. He looks like another one that's going to fall into the unfortunate thing of he's not a 2-miler and he's not a 3-miler. And obviously we don't have that novice chase anymore. So I think he might just, either end up skipping it and going to Aintree, or he'll probably end up finishing in a place probably in the Arkle, I reckon. But again, him and Lulambra, I think, are both similar horses where if you ask the owners or trainers of them, they would say, we'd love to have them over 2.5. But like we've said previously, Cheltenham's the way everyone wants to run at Cheltenham. So they'll usually end up picking one instead of, missing out and going to Aintree, like we did see a couple do last year, to be fair.
Yeah. So in conclusion, Gino's the fly in the ointment, depending on where he runs. Lossiemouth could well be going off shorter if a load of those we've identified might not run, but she might also not run. We're obviously going to have to speak about Constitution Hill, Harry. I, like many, I think, entered Saturday wanting him to win or go well, but absolutely having no confidence that would be the case. Unfortunately, it was the latter, where he's fell again. It's just taken off way too early. Now we're talking about types of hurdles. It's all a load of rubbish. There's just a lot more we can say now. I don't want to see him again, to be honest with you.
No,
although
I don't want to see him over a hurdle.
Nicky said completely the opposite. I've not necessarily got a problem with him going over a hurdle. I'm just bored. I'm just bored of the talk, the hype, and now 4 failures in a row. And the one time he did complete, at Punchestown, I thought he
Fifth or
was absolutely
sixth.
awful.
Well,
I
yeah.
thought
I mean,
he was awful.
I think that was the thing that the worst one of them all. I mean, the falls in all. Well, Aintree, Aintree's the only one we can really see anything because he came down relatively late on in the race and he looked to be
Yeah,
going okay.
yeah.
Whereas the other two, it was so early in the race. So I mean, there was people going into Punchestown saying if he stands up, he'll win the race. And then that happened, and then you're going into Newcastle, and could we even say the same if he had have stayed on his feet? We literally don't know. Like,
Oh, no idea.
I mean, yeah, we'd have all loved to have seen him back, but it's just, yeah, it's gone on for quite a while now. Like, I mean, Nico after Aintree was in a neck brace and injured for what, like 6 months. I mean, yeah, it just doesn't seem to be working somewhere along the line. It just doesn't seem like we get all these updates, and now we're blaming
Too
hurdles
much.
and blaming everything. I think we hoped that there was something that would, come out and then it could be like, oh yeah, well it's that fault. Trying to blame everything, but at the end of the day, I mean, even at his pomp, he was jumping, and I mean, it was like, how on earth is he doing that? Like, he was on the edge, but you never actually thought he was going to fall, and then he took one fall, and now it just looks like he's basically going to fall every time he runs, and you don't
And then he
really
was
want
on
to.
and then he was on this morning saying that he's never fell at home, but then there was rumours that he fell last week during school, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if he had have done, we'd never be told if he fell at home, because I mean, if he did fall at home, then that you're entering a very different discussion as well, whether this should continue going on. If he's fallen at home, and then is it best for him? Like, and to be fair, like, to go over the flat, I mean, I've been a big fan of his, and I've always wanted him to, get back to what he was in the Supreme and in his champion hurdle victory. But to see him go on the flat and be rated what an average flat horse, and over,
Mm.
I mean, the Stayers division isn't really great either, is it? Like, I just don't really see what the point of it is, really. It's not like he's going to go and start running in Group Ones, is he? I mean, he could, but he probably wouldn't win them.
Well, yeah, but with the
So
disparity, I just one for a different day. But with the disparity between prize money between flat and jumps, he could probably pick
yeah,
up a
that is
couple of
true.
quid at Goodwood. But anyway, we'll move swiftly on.
Yeah,
One thing I did when I was typing out these odds earlier, Harry, we've got, I know Lossiemouth 2-1, fair enough, but it is pretty open. The four traditional championship races at Cheltenham. Again, as someone that doesn't spend a whole lot of time looking at them, it looked pretty open to me. Anyway, onto the champion chase, and on that theme, we've got, this is the as we often see in this market, last year's decent novice, if you like, coming to the fore at the top of the market for the open age stuff in the champion chase. That's Madgeborough there at 4-1 favourite. Sagino, we've already mentioned. There is a lot to go at here. I do have a question in regards to this race, but I'll just let you talk about it for a moment, and I'll pose you a question.
yeah. So I mean, the thing is, like, last year's winner is Marine Nationale, but obviously John Bond completely bombed out in that race. Like, I went back and watched it again, and going to the last, he's level with the rank outside of the field, Quilixios, who for next year's is rated is 33-1. I mean, I do think he'd have probably beaten Quilixios, but again, it does sort of pose the question of how good was last year's champion chase, because you've got rid of the short price favourite, and then you've got horses like Captain Guinness, Solnus, Founder 50, Liberty Hunter fell, obviously Quilixios fell, and Ergomen pulled up. Like, he's beaten John Bond, that took half a fence round with him, Captain Guinness, who I don't remember the last time that ran that well, Solnus, who sort of peaked earlier on in the season and did beat Marine Nationale earlier on in the season, and then Founder 50, who I'm not really sure whether they still know what trip is best for him. I think he's run over 2 miles and 3 miles even this season. So I do think that he is one to get at, and Madgeborough is very interesting. Obviously, we saw the article, he finished third, but again, I mean, he literally ran through 2 out. I mean, how he's managed to finish as close as he has is ridiculous, really.
Yes, it was.
And then, I mean, he put it all right at Punchestown by beating Only by Night by 14 lengths. Obviously, Only by Night was in that article as well, and she was just ahead of him by a short head that day. So I mean, without that, but you've got to jump into the aim of the game. We've seen that, like we've just spoke about, the champion champion hurdle, and last year with John Bon. I mean, then we're adding Ilate Thompson to the mix. He's had 2 runs at Cheltenham, beat both times, and made big mistakes both times. And there is the question mark: is he one of those horses that doesn't like Cheltenham? That's another one to rule out. I mean, Lure de Sud is another one to come onto the scene. But again, I feel like if Majba can jump, I don't particularly see why he would. Well, after last season, why he would beat him. But there can be a lot of improvement for these horses. And like Sergino, again, we don't know whether he's going to run. So I do think it is tricky because obviously we've seen him once at Cheltenham, we've seen him twice at Cheltenham actually, but once over fences, and he has just jumped not great, but he's clearly got the engine there because I mean last year he won by 6.5, 9, and 14 lengths outside of the Cheltenham third, which, like we said, was a good run. So I would be leaning towards Majba, but you're taking a 4-1 fav. We haven't seen him yet, and I don't think we're going to see him. And actually, no, I think we're seeing him this weekend at Cork, where I think he's taken on an Ergoman, and I expect him to, push him out the way as such. But I think it is an interesting one. Again, like, it would be great to see Sergino back over a fence. I would probably prefer to see Sergino in this type of race because we've seen him once, and I mean, it was some saying the best debut over fences they've seen. I mean, obviously there's some big names to be put in amongst that, but I would love to see Sergino in this race. But again, like I said, even if he was said he's going to go over fences, not hurdles, I still couldn't really back a horse that's been off 439. Well, it would be 439 days if we got to the festival, but when he's going to run in between, then I'm not particularly sure. He's had a good period of time off, which is going to be about a year, and he nearly died. So it's not really one.
I don't get animated over the jumps, and I've said this a couple of times, but I thought Sergino last Christmas was fantastic. I thought he was absolutely electric, and without question, the most exciting horse in training for me. But we just haven't seen him since. This could easily get dismissed, right? John Bon, right? Yeah. He's not getting any younger. He probably is the best 2-mile chaser in the country. Caveat, we don't know what Sergino's doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But John Bon is on form. I think it's the best. Now, he was flat in November, but I think Nicky left him short a bit then. He'll be going to the Tingle on Saturday, won't he? Yes.
Wow. He's entered on Sunday at Huntingdon as well.
Oh, is he? Right,
and jocked at Huntingdon over a 2-mile 3 in the Peterborough Chase. But
right.
I mean,
well, you know what I think about horses being jocked up,
yes,
particularly for retained owners. But so John Bon, I know he was 5 to 6 for this race last year in what you've described as not a great renewal, but he ain't as bad around Cheltenham as what people think he is, right? I don't think.
Well, I think that it's worth mentioning that the bad renewal is because he wasn't really in the race because of the mistake he made. He obviously is the best.
He's the best. He's the best 2-mile chaser in the UK, as ones that have proven. Obviously, we've only seen Sergino win a novice race. His record around Cheltenham isn't as bad as what people think it is. I don't think. And I think that Nicky left him a bit short for his return in November. He'll go this weekend. You say he's entered at Huntingdon as well. He's apparently jocked up there. Don't take any notice of that. Retained riders and owners and all that. I don't know. I'm not going as far to say I would back him, but with question marks over the participation of the others and the jumping ability of some, as you've outlined. But again, can you rely on him to turn up? I don't know. So I'm talking myself around in circles there, Harry. But plenty of question marks over the champion chase, as you would expect. 14 weeks away. You know what I always say about the Stayers Hurdle, Harry? It's for horses that are too slow for the champion hurdle and cannot jump. And Ballyburn fencers, and they can't jump fencers. Ballyburn 100% fits my description of a Stayers Hurdle horse because he cannot jump a fence. We found that out at the festival last year. And he's not quick enough for 2 miles, that is for sure. And he and Tiapu faced each other over the weekend, did they not?
Yes, they did. That was a very good race. Tiapu just about managing to stay up ahead of Ballyburn. It is an interesting one, but like he's now like 9-4 fab for the race. It's short enough at this stage of play, considering. Yes, I do think he was unlucky over 2.5, but is he a 3-miler? We're not really sure. Like, he's obviously run them races over fences, but I don't think he beat a hell of a lot. And then when it came to the big races, he was found wanting at them points. But I mean, he was very good as a novice. But then again, what is that form worth? The Bearing Bingham, as it was then. The second that day won the Coral Cup and has won over fences. But I mean, yeah, it looks a better race this year than previous years. I mean, you've got Ballyburn, Tiapu, then you've got a couple from England in Postoir, and then maybe even Cabral du Matin after that race in Haydock.
He was good. He was good.
Yeah, he was very good. And I mean, that you can't win by that distance and expect to stay in handicap. So I mean, they've sort of forced their hand a little bit to go this far. Jasmine DeVoe's out for the season. Last year's winner Bob Ollinger's at 14-1.
Yeah, but he's nearly as old as you, Harry.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's got a good record round there, but I think obviously ground's going to make a big impact. I mean, Tiapu is one that loves about as much rain as you can possibly get. And I think if in a race with Ballyburn over 3 miles and some of the others, it would just be a case of Tiapu would just run him into the ground. And because a couple of years ago it was heavy ground when he won his Stayers hurdle. But I mean, it does look a better race. I mean, there is a few others that are coming in there. I mean, there's what was the other? Can't remember what the Twiston Davis horse is called. Which one's that? What is that called?
Oh, the one that always finishes second at Cheltenham.
Yeah.
Gal Road.
Oh, not that one. Oh, I've completely lost it.
Oh,
but
Potter's
yeah,
Charm.
Potter's Charm, that's the one. He's won a couple of okay races, but I'm not sure whether he's quite up to this. But I do think if we get round there, and I mean, Postoir was, I think, quite impressive actually in the Newbury race the other day, and it could be a very, very good race. I mean, yeah, in previous years it's not always been the race to look forward to, but looks like we do have a little bit more of a competitive race, because I think that's what somewhat has lacked, and it's always been known as the, like you said, ones that are just slow and can't jump fences. So yeah, but I do think it will be an interesting race this year. Who I'd be with at this stage, not overly sure. I'd probably, if anything, I probably would just have a couple of quid on Cabral du Matin, just because I do think that was very good, and it could be one that's going places.
Well, he's not even on my ticker at the bottom of the screen there. He's available at as high as 20-1 and as low as 8-1. If you did want to back him, but yeah, I missed him because he's not actually priced up with all the bookmakers, so I kind of missed him off. Right, talking about horses that can definitely jump, Harry. The Gold Cup feature of the week, feature of the season for many. Again, pretty open at this stage, given that 4-1. I know what you're thinking. Won last year. He beat Galopin de Champs in the race last year. He was going for. Was he going for 3 or? Was he going for 3? Yeah. He was going for 3. So he's won 2 and been second on another one. Do you know what gets me though? I know what you're thinking. A Gold Cup winner went off 18-1. 18-1 on his next start, and he wasn't even a shot Gold Cup winner. He was a 15-2 Gold Cup winner. He went off at 18-1 in his next start, and you can say about it was the trip was no good, but that's a joke. That is a joke. That is. You should not be finishing 53 lengths in behind in a Grade 1. I don't care if it was over 1 mile or 2 miles or 3, whatever. It's a joke.
Horse rated 176.
That's an absolute joke. To go off 18-1, A, to go off 18-1, fair enough. And B, to be beat 53 lengths, that is not a good look.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, we sort of knew what race we were going to get. I did kind of have down the top 4 in the market. Not in the market? Yeah, in the market were the ones that were going to be trying in Heartwood, Fast or Slow, Factophile, and Gaelic Warrior. I mean, the front 2 did put 29 lengths between them and Fast or Slow. So, I mean, I do just think that is a reflection of how good them 2 horses are. And then Fast having his first run after a while and ran an okay enough race. But I mean, I do think them 2 at the top are serious horses. I mean, Gaelic Warriors put in some performance to get headed after, was it 2 out, and then managing to get back up. I mean, over a horse like Factor File, who this is his trip as well. Like, this is where he's going to be running for the season. I mean, he won the Ryanair by however far he wanted to. He's going to probably do the same this year as well, because I don't particularly see him the need to really put him up in the Gold Cup. Sorry, because I mean, I know the way you're thinking's owned by JP, and Willie's got Galloping, so, and potentially Gaelic Warrior. I think it is an interesting one at the moment with what we've seen over the last few weeks, with Gaelic Warrior, Grey Dawning, Django Bay, even a fast or slow Jukebox Man. I mean, I think it's interesting with Grey Dawning, like, he's as low as 12-1 for the Gold Cup, and I'm not 100% sure. Like, he did win the Betfair very well, but I mean,
I know, but the opposition, Harry, was
exactly. That's what I've literally about. He just beat Royal Pagai by 2 3/4 lengths, an 11-year-old on ground that didn't suit Royal Pagai as well. I mean, it was just a case of Harry was trying to play him as late as he possibly could because he learned from what happened last year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether I'd have Django Bay to beat Grey Dawning, I think, in that sort of race. I think Django Bay could be a serious one for this year, and we're going to find a lot more out at Christmas when obviously Factor File will probably be in Ireland, and then assuming that Gaelic Warrior gets there, Gaelic Warrior v Django Bay v Jukebox Man in the King George. We're set up for a serious race there. I mean, and then that's without dealing with the top two in the market. We haven't seen Galloping de Champs yet. Obviously, he had a setback, so I think all roads now to the Savills Chase, I believe. I mean, he usually
where they'll let him win, where they'll let him lead every single yard, like they do in at Christmas, and then again in February in the Irish Gold Cup.
Yes. The other thing that I am going to mention in regards to, I know the way you're thinking, because obviously the way you say about how badly he's run. The only other thing is the stable form of I know the way you're thinking. Gavin Cromwell in the last 14 days is operating at a 2% strike rate with one winner from 63. I mean, it's not exactly got off to a fly. I mean, I remember being at Cheltenham and looking at his strike rate, and it was pretty much the same then as well. So it's been over the last few weeks. He obviously hasn't got off to a great start. But I mean, it was the same last year. I know the way you're thinking. Didn't exactly break through, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, we've got the new contender here. He finished 7th in the race in the John Durkin last year, then 5th at Christmas, and 4th in the DRF. So he didn't exactly sort of make his way straight in.
He was favourite for the national going in on Gold Cup. The morning of the Gold Cup, he was favourite for the national, and probably really should have ran in the national. Really, I wouldn't be an advocate previously of running the Gold Cup horses in the national. I think there should be 2 very separate races, but in reality, they're not anymore.
No, they're not really. I mean, because obviously how much.
Because the Grand National has been destroyed, Harry. I will say the words. The Grand National has been destroyed. That's why.
It's a lot easier of a race now. It's not quite as taxing. But I mean, I sort of don't. I think once you've won a Gold Cup, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to go to the Grand National. As soon as he finished at Cheltenham, it was right. How's the best way to get back to Cheltenham to beat Galloping de Champs again? I mean, it is worth noting, I don't think Galloping de Champs showed up on the day in the Gold Cup, but I mean, he's obviously got questions to answer now. Not one he's really had to before, because he has just been so brilliant, other than in the John Durkin where he gets beat every year. But it is just now he's 10 turning 11, so he'll be 11 by the time it comes around. He's already had a setback so far this season, so is that going to take anything out of him? I mean, your Gaelic Warriors, Django Bay, Jukebox Man, one of them's going to win the King George, you'd think, and then what's going to happen to their prices? I mean, Gaelic Warriors now currently 8-1, as low as 6s. I mean, only a point bigger than Galloping de Champs. So I mean,
well, I'll tell you what would happen with them. I'll tell you what would happen with those also that you mentioned, Gaelic Warrior, Django Bay, and Jukebox Man. There'll be questions as to whether they're going to go to the Ryanair or the Gold Cup. There's a good reason why Factor File might go to the Ryanair over the ownership, like you say. I actually, for what it's worth, probably nothing, that I think Factor File would stay the Gold Cup trip, actually. I thought that but he was second, wasn't he, behind Gallopin over Christmas, and I just think he was ridden wrong that day. To be honest, I was ridden too far away from him. So I do think that he actually would stay the trip, but he might not have to because he's got the option of the Ryanair that he absolutely gagged up in last year.
Yeah, I think it is just a case of you look at last year, and there was all the talk of Factor File, but now I know the way you're thinking is going to fill that in. There's no need to really. JP's more than happy to have. I know the way you're thinking, go and win. I mean, Willie's got Galloping, like I said, so it is just a case of might as well. I mean, if he gets there and he's sound and on the day, he win the Ryanair. Like that's not really. I don't even think that's a question at this point. How impressive he was last year, winning it by 9 lengths. That I think that was probably performance of the week.
And to think he went off 6 to 4, obviously that's 2020 hindsight. But to think he went off 6 to 4 SP, I mean,
yeah. I mean,
and he won like at least a 4 to 6 shot, at least.
Oh yeah, and the rest, he didn't really look in danger. He jumped brilliantly. But yeah, I mean, it is a very interesting market at the minute for the Gold Cup. Obviously, I know the way you're thinking as well. A year older as well now, because obviously winning that he was only 8, so started the season 7. I think there could be even more to come for him, and if there is, that's quite scary for his opposition, really. But I think it will be a very good race. Obviously, Gallopin de Champs, like I said, I don't think he performed last year. So if he was to do that, I mean, like I said earlier, he beat, I know the way you're thinking, 3 times before the Cheltenham Festival last year. But we'll find out a lot more in the Savills Chase over Christmas. And I think that's sort of the next point where we're really going to find out. But at this point, I wouldn't really be wanting to have a bet in the Gold Cup just yet.
Right, fair enough. Well, on episode 1 of what is going to be an ad hoc basis of the what we're going to call the Races Now Cheltenham chat, it may never return, but hopefully it does. Maybe in the next video, we're going to look at the juvenile races, Harry, where I will definitely be a fish out of water, and you will be doing a lot of talking if that episode is to go ahead, because I've got virtually no idea. So yeah, the likes of the Supreme and stuff like that. So we might touch on that in another video. And we're on the Cheltenham hype train now. It's official. Races now for the first time in ever, I think, 4 or even 5 years. We're on the Cheltenham Festival hype train. I think we're going to be back tomorrow evening, Tuesday, as SD has been at awards day today, Harry. We was nominated for a very prestigious award, so well done to SD. So we're going to hopefully be back on Tuesday to look at the weekend's racing, which is the Tingle Creek at Sandown, the Beecher Chase at Aintree, where Harry will be, I think, where SD will be. I definitely won't. I'll be at home watching football. So yeah, hopefully we can get the Cheltenham chat going. Let us know in the chat what you fancy at this stage. And they're pretty wide open in the championship races that we've touched on. So yeah, keep it here on Races Now, and we'll be back soon. Thank you.